What's good, YouTube, and welcome to pre-sale review, or in this case, reaction. I have not seen the prices all over on Gamer's Choice. Code What's Good 5 for 5% off, and to support the channel directly will work. I was just about to hop in the shower, so you get messy, typical hygiene Yu-Gi-Oh player for this video, and I've got to say, going in, I already know, 5 RYZEAL Ultra Rares, where this deck is going to be a large chunk of the pie chart if we're looking over at the OCG, and this model of booster packs not the best. I am hearing that it's around 4 ultra rares per box this time though, and we still only have 10 ultras, so that is a quarter percent increase on the pull rates of ultras, which isn't bad overall. I am hearing that some boxes still have 3, maybe that slot gets replaced or something within there, but it looks like about 4. So that is very important going in, that these boxes actually might have a bit more demand, because we're looking at, that would be 48 over 10, right? That's 4 per box, average quote unquote, times 12 boxes, and then we go over the 10. So where it was 3.6 before, it is now 4.8. Yes, a quarter increase on the pull rate of ultras. However, these will be some of the most demanded in this style ever sets, where we have 2 viable decks, and a lot of that pool, except for 1 card in the ultras, are these cards. So with that in mind, $500 RYZEAL deck core. So what is that with 5% off? It's like 4 something, right? Like, okay, $4.99 times 0.95, 475-ish. 5 ultra rares. What does that make each ultra if we just average it out and ignore how good they are? That's 5 times 3. That's your 15 ultra rares in the deck core. We're just going to go ahead and divide this. Oh my gosh. 31.66. So I would feel like maybe you get a $60 one, a $40 one, and the rest fall out. So let's price that way, and that would be early pricing. Maybe this just skyrockets off. People know this is the deck, right? And that can happen sometimes. But let's say then plus 120, and then let's assume another one or 2 are like, you know, the $60 play sets, and then we get a $10. So after, it's pretty close actually. Okay, I gotta give it to them. That $25 upcharge to secure it versus a $60 and then going in. Okay, it makes a bit more sense. Malice I expected to be around 300, maybe 280 at the cheapest. A lot of people were assuming 200. People have slapped the term waifu on this one. They look a bit young for me on that front, but when it comes down to it, I do think it will sell as a Cyverse fun to play archetype that was super looked forward to. In fact, I think it's the most looked forward to thing, and people are gonna go for it. Let's go ahead and go price high. That's best selling, so I guess the deck cores are selling to some degree over here. Okay, here go the Starlight rares for both decks. There goes a collector rare for Malice. I don't know how many collectors are actually revealed yet for the set. $60 for 2 of the RYZEALs, 50 on a Malice, 50 on another Malice ultra rare, and there goes another collector rare sold out. 40, okay, so I see where their estimations are. They're kind of similar to where I would have placed them, just a hair over. So it's actually not that bad. And with the upped ultras, I do expect this box to get torn into to some degree versus the typical. It still feels bad, man, right? Like you're chasing 4 ultras and hoping to see a collector or Starlight, and the collectors overall have gotten a lot shakier thanks to Bonanza and Rarity Collection, where people don't want to go in. Konami could continue that with a Starlight set in the future, a style set, and then stuff like this is still vulnerable, but it should be solid for a long time, right? Like the collector rares, it should not appear in Bonanza 2. I would think that would be too soon, but you never know. I think Konami is going to be done with the quarter century secret stuff within mid of this next year, but we really can't tell. You're speculating whenever you're making these assumptions. I'm certainly wrong on a lot of things Konami has done with the quarter century secret rare stuff, but one fact is clear, that the collector rares have been hurt for a while, so it's interesting to see all the collectors sell out so hard across the board here for real. Malice, again, I was thinking it would be 300, so after code it's a bit higher. RYZEAL's a bit higher than I would have placed it, but I do think that this will be one of the most successful styles of this box finally. on the backs of the decks themselves, and that slightly upped ratio allowing people to tear into it a bit more. When you're looking at 3.6 of each ultra rare per case, that makes a product so thirsty for any extras. But when we're talking 4.8, you're getting, you know, a playset and then half a playset of each ultra on top. It allows 2 cases to end up covering into a very interesting range of 3 playsets on average. So that will end up leading it to where people will be able to obtain cards by opening, and these sets famously aren't ordered the most anymore after failures like Tactical Masters, Labyrinth and Runic not being able to do it together. So you know, $35 boxes of Tactical Masters while the set's out and not reprinted yet was shocking, to say the least, especially with collector rares like Droll. They're typically not worth opening, but we have a Necros-esque level deck. We have a deck that will compete after that's a fan favorite. And then we have the third one that's completely cheap and not on anybody's radar. Yeah, one Ultra will do that, I suppose. I want to go through and actually see some of the star reprints as well. We don't know, right, like a ton of the collectors. We see super rare Tornado Dragons, Senju, not the most chaseable things even for past formats. Planet Pathfinder and Super, I think, is actually kind of neat. I don't know how many hollows it has, but that's kind of a good one. We do see in the rares some Tenyi stuff. Some of that was needed to some degree. And then it looks like a good amount of pack filler, not even past format goods. They're probably saving a lot of that for Bonanza. Hey, Evil Swarm Exiton's actually pretty neat, though, as is Ragna Zero. Dimensional Fissure, I'm sure they're going to collect rare that. Allure, people were talking about that being in the set this morning and acting surprised about it, then saying it was in the OCG set. You shouldn't be surprised. If they collect a rare that up, that's interesting, I guess. That's a good one to go with in collector rare. I'd like to see how they actually do the application of it. So we're looking at not full open pre-sales here because the set's not known. We're looking at Gamer's Choice doing the chop up to do the estimated value pulled and make guaranteed profits versus boxes that are likely to do better than any in this line of product, and I don't think they've done the worst job. Again, about $25 to $30 on each deck core above where I would have placed it and where I would have thought, and that's for securing it versus how crazy the market can be, and the WCQ season decks going crazier than ever, and then an upcoming ban list likely clearing the way even more for these strategies going into the WCQ season, and an extremely low impact core booster set coming as well, where people are like, wow, the power levels on this versus everything we've gotten, it's gonna flop. I've heard it's gonna flop with that upcoming booster set more than ever. The one with the Dark Neos like guy. I'm so behind on terms. I'm gonna come into 2025 a lot more on the ball with everything on focused on the point. I know I've been a little bit clocked out when it comes to things, but I've kept up with metagame, watching some matches, logging on to Master Duel every day, so my terminology isn't as on point, but I know the general directions of things and where metagames are heading. So for these specifically, again, for estimated value pulled in where they're at and where they should be going, not the worst, but a little bit pricier than I would have personally gone with, but Gamer's Choice has been pretty on point with Bonanza. They took a lot of losses versus the actual market and where it turned out, right? But with this, I know RYZEAL is going to pop off. Is it going to pop off above the point of Purely, and Purely took a while to get there? Yeah, probably. With the Malice, I think it'll be behind. So I think RYZEAL will actually end up taking kind of the lightning rod of value and Malice. Even if you're going to call it a waifu deck or whatever you're going to call it in the comment section, it's, I feel like, going to take a back seat despite being such a fan favorite and probably fall off a little bit in value, more so than the RYZEAL deck. And I think the RYZEAL deck could even, depending on the WCQ season, go past this. Don't shop with FOMO. Look around. Look at the numbers on the set. But I do think with this specific set, there's a lot of interesting moving pieces between the ratios and how it is, and Gamer's Choice has done a decent job of pricing up here, in my personal opinion. Again, just a bit more expensive than I would have gone.